You know that moment when you finally see him clearly? When the fog lifts and you realize you weren't crazy after all? Today, I want to talk about what happens next. What he does when his mask slips completely. When you're no longer buying his stories. If you've been in a relationship with someone who made you question your own reality, this video is for you. Because what I'm about to share isn't just theory, it's the predictable playbook they all use. You've probably seen some of these behaviors already. Maybe you're seeing them right now. And I want you to know something important. Recognizing these patterns doesn't make you vindictive. It makes you aware. The 5 things I'm sharing today happen in almost every case. When a narcissist gets truly exposed, they don't just disappear quietly. They double down. They escalate. They become more desperate. And understanding this pattern, it's going to help you stay strong when he tries to pull you back in. The first thing he does when truly exposed is vanish completely, like he never existed. One day, he's blowing up your phone with explanations and excuses. The next day, radio silence. He blocks you everywhere, deletes photos, acts like you were never part of his life. This isn't him giving you space to heal. This is him protecting his image. See, narcissists can't handle being seen without their mask. When you finally see through his lies, his charm, his manipulation tactics, he panics because now you have information, you have evidence, you have clarity. And clarity is dangerous to someone who survives on confusion. So he disappears to control the narrative. He tells people you two just grew apart. He says you were incompatible. He never mentions the lies you caught him in, the affairs, the gaslighting, the way he made you feel insane. This disappearance serves another purpose too. It's designed to make you doubt yourself again, to make you think, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe he's really hurt and needs space. Don't fall for it. When someone truly cares about you and makes a mistake, they don't vanish. They don't block you from your entire existence. They stay. They explain. They do the hard work of rebuilding trust. The disappearing act is actually confirmation that everything you discovered was real. If he had nothing to hide, he wouldn't need to hide. I know this silence can be confusing. After months or years of constant contact, constant drama, constant chaos, the sudden quiet feels strange. You might even miss it. You might check his social media hoping for some sign of resolution. That's normal. Your nervous system is still adjusting to the absence of chaos. But don't mistake your trauma response for love. Don't mistake addiction to the cycle for genuine connection. The disappearance phase usually lasts as long as it takes him to rebuild his image elsewhere. He's not healing. He's not reflecting. He's finding new supply, new people to charm, new victims who don't know his history. And while he's doing that, you get something precious. Time. Time without his voice in your head. Time without his version of events clouding your judgment. Time to remember who you were before him. Use this time wisely. Journal about what really happened. Talk to trusted friends. Work with a therapist if you can. Because this disappearance phase won't last forever. Eventually, he'll be back with a new strategy. He'll test the waters to see if his absence made you forget how badly he treated you. He'll act like the disappearance never happened, like you should just pick up where you left off. But you'll be ready, because now you know this is just step 1 in his playbook. The disappearance isn't punishment. It's not evidence that you meant nothing to him. It's evidence that you meant everything. You were the mirror he couldn't stand to look into. You saw him clearly, and he couldn't manipulate his way out of it. So, he ran. After the disappearing act, he reappears with a completely different strategy. Now, he's not the villain. He's the victim. Suddenly, you weren't just incompatible. You were abusive. You weren't just hurt by his behavior, you were controlling and manipulative. The relationship didn't just end, you destroyed it with your impossible expectations. This is the victim performance, and it's Oscar-worthy in its conviction. He tells everyone who will listen how badly you treated him, how he tried so hard to make it work, how you never appreciated anything he did, how you were always angry, always upset, always impossible to please. And the most maddening part, he genuinely seems to believe it. This isn't just manipulation of others, it's manipulation of himself. Narcissists are masters at rewriting history to protect their self-image. They literally cannot hold the reality that they caused harm, so they flip the script entirely. Your legitimate reactions to his behavior become evidence of your instability. Your attempts to communicate become proof of your aggression. Your boundaries become examples of your controlling nature. He conveniently forgets the affairs, the lies, the gaslighting, the silent treatments, the way he systematically broke down your self-esteem. None of that exists in his victim narrative. What exists is you, the unreasonable woman who couldn't appreciate a good man. This victim performance serves multiple purposes. First, it protects his reputation. People are more likely to sympathize with him if he's the wronged party. Second, it attracts new supply. Nothing draws in a potential victim like someone who appears wounded by their crazy ex. But the most insidious purpose is how it affects you. When you hear that he's telling people you were the problem, it can trigger all that old self-doubt, those old questions. Was I really that difficult? Did I overreact? Maybe I was the toxic one. Stop right there. You know what really happened. You lived it. You felt it. You experienced the confusion, the walking on eggshells, the constant feeling that nothing you did was ever enough. Healthy people don't make their partners feel crazy. Healthy people don't systematically tear down someone's self-worth. Healthy people don't lie, cheat, and gaslight, then blame their partner for being upset about it. The victim performance is actually proof of everything you suspected. A person who truly cared about you wouldn't publicly trash your character after a breakup. They wouldn't try to turn people against you. They wouldn't paint themselves as perfect while making you the villain. This behavior reveals exactly who he is. Someone who will sacrifice your reputation, your mental health, and your sense of reality to protect his image. Don't try to defend yourself to everyone who'll listen. Don't try to set the record straight with his friends and family. Don't engage with the narrative at all. People who know you will see through his victim act. People who believe it without question probably never really knew you anyway. Your job isn't to manage his story. Your job is to heal from what actually happened. The people who matter will stand by you. The people who don't weren't really in your corner to begin with. Let him have his victim performance. While he's busy rewriting history, you'll be living in reality. Now comes the most predictable part of his playbook, making everything your fault. Not just the relationship ending. Everything. Every lie he told, every boundary he crossed, every time he made you feel small, all of it somehow traces back to something you did or didn't do. He cheated because you were too needy. He lied because you couldn't handle the truth. He gave you silent treatment because you were too emotional. He controlled your friendships because you had poor judgment. This is blame shifting, and it's designed to keep you trapped in self-doubt forever. The insidious thing about blame shifting is how it exploits your natural tendency towards self-reflection. You're someone who looks inward when things go wrong. You ask yourself, what could I have done differently? That's actually a healthy trait in normal relationships. But narcissists weaponize this against you. They know you'll analyze their accusations. They know you'll wonder if maybe, just maybe, you really were too sensitive, too demanding, too whatever they claim you were. And while you're busy examining yourself under a microscope, they never have to examine themselves at all. Here's what blame shifting really is. It's someone who can't take responsibility for their own actions, desperately trying to make their actions your responsibility instead. Think about this logically. If you were truly as terrible as he claims, why didn't he leave sooner? Why did he fight so hard to keep you? Why did he promise to change? Why did he beg for another chance? People don't desperately cling to relationships with people who treat them badly. They don't chase after truly abusive partners. They don't make elaborate plans to win back someone who's genuinely harmful to them. His behavior told a different story than his words. His behavior said you were valuable, desirable, worth fighting for. His words, after getting caught, say you were the problem all along. Which one seems more credible to you? The blame-shifting circus includes some greatest hits you've probably heard. You made me do it. You pushed me to that point. You knew who I was when you got with me. You can't blame me for reacting to your behavior. None of these are explanations, they're deflections. They're ways of avoiding accountability while making you carry the weight of responsibility for both people's choices. Here's what accountability actually sounds like. I chose to lie because it was easier than having a difficult conversation. I chose to cheat because I wanted to, not because you forced me to. I chose to manipulate you because it got me what I wanted. You'll never hear that from him, because accountability requires emotional maturity, and emotional maturity is exactly what narcissists lack. The blame-shifting phase is often when you feel most confused, because some of his accusations might even contain grains of truth. Maybe you did become more suspicious. Maybe you did check his phone. Maybe you did become less trusting. But those weren't character flaws. Those were survival responses. Those were your instincts trying to protect you from someone who was actively deceiving you. Don't let him reframe your self-protection as proof of your toxicity. Don't let him use your natural reactions to his behavior as evidence that you deserved his behavior. You reacted like any normal person would react to being lied to, manipulated, and emotionally abused. The circus isn't your fault. You just happened to be in the audience. He can't fight this battle alone, so he recruits an army. Suddenly, his friends, family, coworkers, and even mutual acquaintances have opinions about your relationship. They're reaching out to you with concern. They're sharing his version of events. They're trying to mediate or get you to see his side. These are flying monkeys, and they're everywhere. Some of them mean well. They genuinely think they're helping by encouraging you to work things out. They've only heard his carefully crafted version of events where he's the devoted partner and you're the one being unreasonable. Others are more calculating. They're people who benefit from staying in his good graces. They'll sacrifice your well-being to maintain their position in his orbit. And some are just nosy. They thrive on drama and insert themselves into situations that have nothing to do with them. But here's what they all have in common. They don't have the full story. They weren't there for the private moments. They didn't experience the gaslighting, the manipulation, the systematic erosion of your self-worth. They know the highlight reel version of him, the charming, successful, seemingly caring person he presents to the world. They don't know the person who made you question your own sanity. The flying monkey recruitment usually comes in waves. First, the concerned friends. He really loves you, you know? He's devastated. Maybe you should give him another chance. Then the family mediators. Relationships take work. No one's perfect. He's trying to change. Finally, the guilt trippers. You're being selfish. He made mistakes, but you're not exactly innocent either. You're going to regret this. Each message is designed to chip away at your resolve, to make you feel isolated, wrong, and cruel for maintaining your boundaries. But here's what you need to remember. Anyone who truly cared about your well-being would ask about your experience first. They'd want to understand what you went through. They'd respect your decision even if they didn't fully understand it. Flying monkeys don't do that. They start with his narrative and try to convince you to accept it. You don't owe anyone an explanation for leaving a relationship that was harming you. You don't owe anyone proof of abuse. You don't owe anyone a detailed breakdown of why you made the choice you made. Your decision to leave was based on your lived experience. Their opinions are based on his public performance. The flying monkey phase is particularly hard because it makes you feel like everyone's against you. Like maybe you really are the problem if so many people think you should go back to him. But remember, these people aren't neutral parties. They're operating with incomplete information. They have their own reasons for wanting you to return to the status quo. Some flying monkeys will eventually see through his act. When he treats them poorly, or when his mask slips around them, they'll understand what you experienced. Others will never see it. They'll continue believing his version of events no matter what evidence surfaces. Neither reaction defines the truth of what you experienced. The flying monkeys aren't your problem to manage. Your problem is staying strong in the face of their pressure. Block them if you need to. Ignore their messages. Tell them you're not discussing your private relationship with anyone except professional counselors. You don't need their approval to protect yourself. After months of silence, victim performances, blame shifting, and flying monkey attacks, he makes his final move. He comes back. Not with genuine remorse or real change, with a carefully calculated campaign designed to win you back. The resurrection campaign is his masterpiece. Everything he's learned about your weaknesses, your triggers, your deepest desires gets weaponized in service of getting you to return. He might show up with flowers and apologies. He might write you long letters about how much therapy has helped him. He might send the songs that remind you of better times. He might have mutual friends accidentally mention how much he's changed. The approach varies, but the goal is always the same: to make you forget why you left. This is the most dangerous phase because it often comes when you're finally starting to heal, when the chaos has settled and you're beginning to remember who you are without him. The timing isn't coincidental. He knows that healing makes you stronger and strength makes you harder to manipulate. So he strikes while you're still vulnerable, but not completely broken. The resurrection campaign preys on your natural human desire for redemption stories, for closure, for the fantasy that maybe, just maybe, he really has changed this time. He'll use every piece of intimate knowledge he has about you. If you value loyalty, he'll talk about how he's never stopped loving you. If you value growth, he'll detail his self-improvement journey. If you value family, he'll mention how much he misses building a life with you. But here's what the resurrection campaign isn't. It isn't accountability. It isn't genuine remorse. It isn't sustainable change. Real change happens slowly, quietly, without fanfare. It shows up in consistent actions over time, not grand gestures and dramatic declarations. Someone who's genuinely changed doesn't need to convince you of it. The change is evident in how they respect your boundaries, how they take responsibility without deflection, how they prioritize your healing over their own desires. The resurrection campaign is manipulation disguised as transformation. During this phase, you might find yourself wavering. Maybe you'll think about the good times. Maybe you'll wonder if you're being too harsh. Maybe you'll feel guilty for not giving him another chance. Those feelings are normal. They're part of the trauma bond that kept you attached to him in the first place. But remember what you learned about his patterns: the disappearing act, the victim performance, the blame shifting, the flying monkeys. These weren't mistakes or one-time behaviors. They were systematic responses designed to avoid accountability and maintain control. A person who's truly changed would acknowledge these patterns and take full responsibility for them. They wouldn't minimize your experience or rush your healing. They wouldn't pressure you to return before you're ready, if at all. The resurrection campaign is his last attempt to regain control over the narrative and over you. You get to decide if he succeeds. You don't owe him forgiveness. You don't owe him another chance. You don't owe him the benefit of the doubt. You owe yourself protection. You owe yourself peace. You owe yourself a life free from the chaos he brought into it. The resurrection campaign will eventually fade when it doesn't work. And if you stay strong through it, you'll have broken the cycle forever. If you're seeing these patterns in your own life, I want you to know you're not crazy. You're not overreacting. You're recognizing manipulation for what it is. Trust what you experienced. Trust what you learned. Trust your decision to protect yourself. You don't need to understand everything to keep moving forward. You just need to keep going. Leave a comment if you've recognized any of these patterns. Sometimes knowing you're not alone makes all the difference. Take care of yourself. You deserve peace.